When you're a single person, you have only yourself to rely on when it comes to finances.
So today our money expert has some financial advice for singles.
That's right. Bruce Helmer joins us now to tell us what to do if we are among the unmarried.
It's a great topic, Bruce, because we talk so often about couples and retirement, and the world is changing.
Yeah, we actually had some emails to our radio show that you talk about couples all the time. What about those of us that are not coupled? So that's kind of what gave us the idea to do this.
Okay, so what's kind of the first tip that you say when you talk to people who are single?
I think the first thing is there's an assumption that if we need X amount, if we're coupled, if we're single, we need half that. But that's not true. If you have rent, you still have rent whether you're one people or two, or mortgage whether you're one people or two.
It's not
you
half.
Still, no, it's not half.
As you know.
So it's not half. It's probably somewhere like 75 or 80%, but it is not half.
Yeah.
What about when it comes to saving? Do you need to be a little more aggressive?
I think you do, because again, if you're coupled, you can sort of rely on the other person, assuming that you're dual income, that they're contributing to a company 401k or they're saving and investing. And so if you don't, or you don't do as much, you kind of rely on each other. But if you're alone, it's totally up to you. We also talk about people needing an emergency fund or a rainy day fund. But again, if you're the only one contributing to that fund, you have to make sure that you do it, and you maybe need a little bit more, because if something does happen, if you're out of work or whatever, you have to rely on yourself, not the other person's paycheck.
It's very true. If I lost my job, my wife has a job, is making a salary. And
You'd have a little more of like a cushion.
More of a cushion, exactly. Interesting. What about strategy? I wonder if single people end up focused more on other aspects of their life.
One of the things I think of when we talk strategies is maybe you were coupled but you're not now. So recently we had a client that had been married, was not married now. We pointed out to her that she was eligible for part of her former spouse's Social Security, which she did not know. See her that, shortly thereafter, after she checked with the Social Security Administration, $650 a month income she's getting now that she didn't know she was eligible for. So think about things like that.
What about health care? What do people who are married need to do differently?
Well, again, there's this idea that if we're coupled, if something happens to us later in life, we can maybe rely on our significant other.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that person, you have to make your own plan. The other school of thought is, if I'm all alone, I don't need to worry about other people. But again, all of us probably have somebody that when we leave this world that we want our stuff to go to, our assets to go to. So there's some similarities and some differences, and I think that's the key takeaway. Efficient financial planning doesn't change that much whether you're coupled or single, but there's a couple little things that definitely are different. We don't talk to these people enough, so I'm glad we did this today.
Very cool.
Thanks, Bruce.
Thank you.
You can see Bruce right here on Mid-Morning each Tuesday and get more financial advice on his show, Your Money, on CCO Radio. That is Sunday mornings from 8:30 to 9:30.